Hi guys, my name's Carl Ellis here, and I want to be completely genuine here. Um, about 3 years ago, after COVID, actually it was in between COVID, I had no job, no work. I'd been doing shows prior to that, doing Starlight Express in Germany. I did Notre Dame de Paris, the Hundred Notre Dame version of that in the West End. I had been doing many shows. My first show was when I was 6 years old, playing Mr. Curry in Paddington Bear, and that was very interesting. It's such a great experience I had. So I've always grown up in the theatre. I've always had experiences in the theatre. And I've had a lot of successes as well. I was also in the Voice of Germany, and I did films and things of that nature. I was in Cleopatra with Timothy Dalton. I was one of the Nubian guards, and Billy Zane. I forgot the name, just passed me then. Long time ago. Done a lot of stuff. Shepperton Studios, I've been there, done the work there and everything. And so I've always grown up in the theatre world and the film world and in show business, of which I realise that a lot of people are struggling. We put a good face on, we act and we do our job, and we are allowed to almost take the burden of the people watching, who come with different energies or what have you. And I was amazed how some actors really struggle through their performances. They have personal issues, they have emotional issues, they have psychological issues. A lot of times they suppress that with alcohol or drugs. Sometimes they're nervous, anxiety, panic attacks, and they still have to go through it. It's not a pretty picture, and I realised that from very early on, that this was the case. I even had in Notre Dame de Paris, I won't mention the name because I don't want to cause any trouble, but this person used to drink like you couldn't imagine. A bottle of cognac would be the flavour of the day, and it was incredible. I was shocked, really. And not to say that I'm excluded from that, you know what I mean? But to a certain degree, I realised that if I'm not going to perform under an influence, then I don't want to perform at all. I want it to be my true self, and I want it to be authentic, and I want it to be the real Carl Ellis that I want it to be. That is also my stage name, and to be authentic, that is not my real name. And so I realised that. Anyway, it was 2000, I think 2018, 19, when the epidemic really hit us, and it was so bad for actors and musicians and singers, and everybody else as well suffered. But for myself, it was extremely difficult because I had three girls, two of them were teenagers, and they needed things, and they needed educational things, and needed holidays or little breaks and stuff like that. And when we had to stay in isolation, that really took us by storm. And it's only by the God, so grateful for that we were placed in a lodge and stuff like that. And so I started to do live performances on Facebook for free, and it was, wow, this is I can do this. I've got to give something back, and I've always had it within my spirit. I want to give something back to the people. I want them to feel that it's okay. I'm going through hardship also, worries, anxieties. And I think to myself, well, you know what, I want to go and give. I just felt it in my spirit. I want to give. I want to give back. I want the people to know that even though things are hard, you are not alone. You know, you are not alone. I am there for you. I'm just trying to give my little bit, just whatever I can. You know, I didn't have much, so I went on Facebook and I started to do stuff. And lo and behold, man, people came and were watching my lives, and I was just giving motivational speeches. And some people thought I was a pastor, and I got messages, people saying, "Oh yeah, we thought you was a pastor," and we joined because your messages were so encouraging. This is what I needed. And you never know who's on the other end of the line, or the other end of the screen watching, and who needs help. Just bear that in mind. You just never ever know who is needing something, who's going through that issue. Out of, I think, I'm not sure how many, is it billions of people are using Facebook? So there are people who are needing love, kindness, a good word, a good message, a motivational message, something. I don't even know who's going to watch this, but I do know that there is going to be more than one person that's going to appreciate this. And so I was just so taken back, and from that I actually met a few people who were quite influential in my life now. And one of them being Maya, who was extremely wonderful, supported me a lot in my with gifts and sponsors and everything of that nature. And also someone else who I really hold dear to my heart. So now this is where those who have not sinned throw the first stone. And so we all do wrong. We all do things that are not acceptable based on, it's very important, based on your circumstances. Like a thief would never steal if he didn't need to, unless there's something psychologically wrong with him. You can have the most kindest person do something in order to feed their family. And so, when with this wealth of information, this wealth of understanding, it's important to understand not to judge. I'll tell you the truth, on the internet we have so many people who are judges and do exactly the same thing, bring forward, because as I say, I had been doing a lot of shows. I was well known in the West End, and I had to make a decision. And bear in mind, beyond that, let's be real, atmospheres in the household. Let's talk about that for a minute. Now, there's this old adage where they say that a family together is a strong unit, and I agree 100%. But when you have pressure in the house, no one is going anywhere, no one is working, the world outside is fearful, and there is something out there, and you're stuck, then you can tend to really go to a point where the energy within that household, because we are all energies and we all emit frequencies in the field, we can start to attack each other. And so this was the atmosphere that I was faced with, and I noticed that I had no job, my wife had no job, we couldn't work, we had to stay at home, and we had three literally adult children. And so I had to make a decision. And on top of that, my agent, who was badgering me to have the scorpion's prick, for lack of a better explanation, excuse me. But and my religious beliefs dictated that I did not want to do that. And I remember the conversation we had. And I would say it was actually quite disrespectful, because the person who was a female said to me, not that it matters, that, well, hold on a minute, why don't you have this thing done? this procedure. I says, well, it's my religious belief. I don't believe it. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in putting any foreign substances in my bodies. I'm sorry. Well, if you don't do it, you have to leave this agency because everyone else is doing it. And I don't see why you think you're so special. Has your children had it? And I said, no. Well, they should. It's just like having the flu, whatever. Why don't you have it done? And for a second, I felt so demeaned. I felt so useless, like a pawn. That this person is dictating to me what I should do with my family and myself. With no medical knowledge, with no understanding. But yet, because you're employing me, you have that ability to dictate. And so I disagreed. And I said, well, I don't agree with that in the most politest of ways, some will say. But I said, no, I said, I'm not going to do it. And, and the way you're painting the picture, the way you're selling it to me really will not make me want to do it either. And of course, I did a lot of research on this particular subject. And I knew there's huge rates of all kinds of blood clots and what have you. So, but this was my choice. And she did not respect my choice. And so I had this battle between, do I go with this person or do I get and pay the consequences? And my whole truth, make that decision, bear in mind, for my children and my wife. I have a responsibility to God. So you weigh that up. Just imagine that situation, the pressure of being at home and, this work and this and that, and the opportunity of, okay, we're going to pay you money now. You're going to get money. You're going to follow this. So I took the first choice and I joined. And I'll get more into that at a later episode. Thank you. Yours, Carl. Let's do this. Have we finished? Yeah.